So let's just jump right in. Imagine the US government suddenly goes all in on Bitcoin. We're talking a strategic national reserve. You'd think that's the dream, right? A huge, massive win for crypto? Well, today we're going to break down a theory that says this exact scenario. A hypothetical executive order in 2025 isn't what it seems at all. That it's actually a trap.
Yeah, this quote from the source material really gets you thinking, doesn't it? It's basically saying that while everyone's celebrating the headlines, the real story, the real danger, is buried in the fine print. So what are these details that most people might just scroll right past?
Okay, so first up, the presentation. You could just imagine how this would be sold to the public, right? It would be all positive vibes. The government is finally getting on board with digital assets. This is great for America. But the theory we're digging into today says that's just the window dressing for something a lot more complicated. And here you can see that split perfectly. On one side, you've got the story everyone would hear: pro-innovation, American leadership, super bullish for crypto. But on the other side, a totally different take. The claim is it's all a setup, a path to total government control. Basically, a Trojan horse designed for confiscation down the line. And the whole argument for why this could be true? Well, it all comes down to a really striking piece of history. This is where we get to the real meat of the theory. The idea here is that this isn't a new script at all. It's a rerun. The source connects the dots from a potential Bitcoin order in 2025 straight back to a real executive order from 1933 that had to do with gold.
And check this out, it's the words they use that are so spooky. Back in 1933, FDR's order called gold a strategic asset and gave the Treasury the authority to acquire it. You know, legal speak that ended up meaning confiscation. The theory says a future Bitcoin order would use almost the exact same wording to build the exact same kind of framework. So you gotta ask, right? Is this just a coincidence? Is it just how lawyers write things? Or is this an intentional pattern, a playbook that worked once and is being dusted off for a new digital asset? To even begin to answer that, we need to talk about motive. Why would they even do this?
I mean, why go through all this trouble? It sounds like something out of a movie. Well, according to the source, the motive is the biggest, scariest monster in the room: the U.S. national debt. The one problem nobody seems to know how to fix through normal politics.
And the scale of this thing is, it's just hard to wrap your head around. $37 trillion. The argument here is that a number this big is way past the point where normal solutions, like raising taxes or cutting spending, can even make a dent anymore.
Here's another way to think about it. It's like if you personally owed more than you make in an entire year, a lot more. The country's debt is over 130% of everything it produces in a year. When you're in that deep, you start looking for creative solutions. And the source says one of those is a classic financial trick called devaluation.
So what is devaluation? It's basically when a government, on purpose, makes its own money worth less. Sounds crazy, right? But think about it. If all your debts are in dollars and you make the dollar worth less, then poof, your debt just got smaller in real terms. It's a way to pay it back with cheaper money. And this is exactly why that 1933 gold situation is so important here.
So here's how the 1933 playbook worked, step by step. First, they made everyone sell their gold to the government for cheap, like 20 bucks an ounce. Then, once the government had a giant pile of gold, they turned around and said, actually, this gold is now worth 35 bucks an ounce. Instantly, the dollar was worth way less, and just like that, they wiped out a huge percentage of their national debt. The theory is you could do the exact same thing, just swap gold for Bitcoin.
Okay, so if this were to happen, how would it go down? The source we're looking at doesn't see it as a one-day event. No, it's laid out as a slow, deliberate strategy, a plan that unfolds over several years.
It all kicks off with that feel-good executive order in 2025, building the framework. Then, phase 2 is the quiet part. The government starts accumulating Bitcoin, building up its reserves. The real trigger, according to this theory, is some kind of financial crisis. That becomes the excuse for an emergency action, forcing everyone to sell their Bitcoin to the government at a fixed, low price. And then, the final move. Once they have all the Bitcoin, they revalue it, devaluing the dollar and making their debt problem shrink.
And this isn't just waving hands. The theory points to specific tools that would need to be in that order to pull this off. You'd have a special working group to make it all happen. You'd give the government the power to set an official price that has nothing to do with the market price. They'd build their own custody systems. And maybe the most dangerous part, a lawful holder clause. That's the loophole. It's the fine print that says if you don't play by their new rules, you're not a lawful holder anymore, which could give them the green light to just take your assets. So let's get to the bottom line. If a plan like this actually happened, who wins and who loses? Because make no mistake, the source claims this would be a massive, massive transfer of wealth.
And this really lays it all out, doesn't it? The government, of course, wins big. Debt problem solved. Any insiders who knew this was coming would also do very well. And kind of ironically, anyone who managed to hold on to their Bitcoin outside the system would be a winner too. But who gets hurt? Well, it's the people who played by the rules, the ones who sold their Bitcoin at the low government price. It's savers, people holding bonds, retirees, basically the middle class.
And that's really the whole theory, laid out. It's an unsettling story for sure, but it's one built on historical precedent and some very specific language. But in the end, it all comes down to one big question for you to think about. Are we seeing a historical pattern getting ready to repeat itself for the digital age, or is this just a wild, baseless theory? Something to chew on.